Hi everyone, Mrs. Hayward here. Sorry, I'm randomly close up today. No idea why. So I thought I would do a little video on costume for Saved. And as you know, this is set in 1965. So if you're setting it then, you'll need to think about the different costumes that they might wear. So typically we've got two different groups in the 60s when it comes to young people. Potentially we've got mods who sort of modelled after bands like The Who. So they'd be wearing like turtlenecks, really bright colours, like skinny ties, have like little bowl haircuts, like kind of look like teddy boys, like winkle picker shoes. So they're like really pointy. And like drain pipe trousers. Generally they look quite like friendly and quite cute. But as we know from the riots that happened down in Brighton, the mods are not cute at all. So they might look like they're like nice, well-to-do gents, but they're really not. They're violent and can be really nasty. And they had like little like mopeds. So potentially what you could do is think of having the gang dressed as mods, which makes the audience already think, oh, you know, they're going to be quite nice, because stereotypically we would associate that sort of outfit with sort of, you know, people that were fairly respectable. But actually, no, we're going to sort of turn that on its head. You've also got the rockers. So if you think of it kind of like Danny Zuko from Grease, I know that's America, I know it's a little bit earlier, but in terms of like the leather jacket, the brill creamed hair, on a proper motorbike, so not like the little mopedy things. So you've sort of got two different ones there. So potentially you could have like Len dressed more as a rocker, and the gang and Fred dressed more like mods. And then as the play goes on, maybe Len is trying to dress more like a mod because he wants to fit in, and obviously he wants Pam to love him, and Fred is already a mod. And then you've got him eventually just going into like old man clothes like Harry. So Harry and Mary are going to be much more old fashioned. So they're that typical war generation, much more like, you know, sensible outfits. Think as well about what the women would wear. So as I said, Mary would be much more sensible. So like we're talking below the knee skirts, maybe with something with pleats in it, maybe a shirt, a little cardigan, maybe her hair would be in rolls, sort of thing. And with Pam, 1960s, we're thinking the short skirts, or like a box dress. You might have it in like monochrome colours, big high heels maybe. Also makeup. What's the makeup going to be like? So generally the fashion was to have very pale lips, big eyes, like think Twiggy vibes. So you might want to just have a little Google and look at how people in the 1960s dressed. You've also got to think about how the costume, hair and makeup is used. So for a 10 marker, you're probably, you know, you're going to go into detail about what the costume looks like. But how is that costume being used to communicate character? So for example, it might be that Pam is reapplying a bright red lipstick and like mwah-ing herself in the mirror, because she's more preoccupied about what she looks like as opposed to her baby. It might be that Mary is putting on a cardigan and like hugging herself around it because she's feeling a bit emotional about something. It could be that Harry is sitting there and picking at his trouser leg because he's getting really anxious. So how is the costume itself, costume, hair, makeup themselves, being used by the actors, not focusing on the acting itself, but focusing on the costume to portray meaning? So again, you're going to find a quote and you're going to say how the actor is using the costume, hair and makeup in order to portray meaning. If you've got a 30 marker on costume, hair and makeup, you need to go into fabric and fit and condition. So fabric, cotton is obviously a very natural fabric, potentially quite innocent, quite heavy though as well, but also light at the same time. So you could have like a nice cotton top. You could also have quite a thick cotton. You've got man-made fabrics like polyester, lycra. I don't think lycra was around actually, so ignore that. And then you've got things like leather, of course. So thinking about what the fabric was, that's really important to mention. The fit as well, is something too baggy? Is it tight? Where is it tight? Is it purposefully baggy? So think about that. And the condition. So is it brand new? Has it got makeup marks on it? Has it got a hole in it? Be really precise. Imagine that your job is a costume designer. Think as well, maybe, for example, the mascara is really clumpy to show it's not very good quality, or that it was put on in a rush or something like that. Really be precise about it. So not only are you designing it, so it might be for a 30 marker, you get asked to design it for 2 characters. So you've got to go into real detail about what it looks like, and then at least 3 quotes per person for how the costume could be used. So it could be that they take off a cardigan and start to unbutton a top to sort of show a bit of cleavage or something. It could be that they roll up their shirt sleeves so that they're starting a fight. It could be that they, get a cigarette and they burn it into someone's clothing. For some reason. You never know what the gang are capable of. Okay, so hopefully that's covered all the key parts. Remember 1965 kitchen sink realism, and we're going to be setting it then as well. Okay, good luck.